Good day, everybody. It's TJ Jones, Conrad, and Jelani, and this is Inside Men. Today, we got a special episode for you with a special guest. Now, how you doing, Keisha Red? How's everything going?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm honored to be here, blessed amongst these fine men, and that you're inviting a woman into your set.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, today's
Go.
topic is about women's rights. So it's best to have a woman on the show to give us your perspective about women and what's going on in the topics that we're going to discuss today.
Absolutely.
Yes. So do you want to give a brief description of who you are?
So, hi, everyone. I'm Keisha Red Hannons. I'm an educator. I've been an educator for 21 years, worked in DC public schools as well as New Haven public schools. My job, my charge in life is just to help children, mentor them, and help them be the best that they can be in whatever they decide. My ultimate goal is to help everyone be successful in their life pursuits, whether that's college or career, including my two little guys that I have at home.
Nice.
So the first topic that we're going to open up is in St. Johns County, Florida. Now, there's a high school out there that recently put out a yearbook, and a ninth grader, Riley O'Keefe, 15 years old, opened her page to a photo and laughed in disbelief as the school, not only hers, but dozen others, covered up their chests with a black bar. Now, we all graduated from school, from high school, and we all loved our yearbook, and we all were excited to see our picture and what we look like. Now, this school right here is covering up the cleavage, the breasts of the girls. What are your thoughts on that?
So I think it was a rookie error. I think the principal now is very much apologetic for what they did, as well as the superintendent in that particular county. What we found in looking at dress code policies, period, is that they are really targeted towards girls and young ladies,
Mm-hmm.
more so than the boys or young men. And if there's an issue with dress, that should come up before something that's as memorable as a yearbook. I graduated in 1994 from high school. I still look at my yearbook. I still laugh with my friends about our pictures, even whether it's our college pictures. So this was a mistake that was made, but it's happening far too often to our young ladies. It's our body. We can show it how we choose to in a tastefully manner, but to cover it up and put black bars over the cleavage, that's just too far. And it's another opportunity where women are silenced in America.
Mm-hmm. Yes, some of the girls said that they felt embarrassed. They felt ashamed, body shamed as well. There was even a guy in the yearbook as well who was in swimming trunks, and they didn't cover him up at all. So they allowed him. Granted, we don't have the same body parts as a female. Men don't have the same body parts as a woman, but yet they allowed him to expose himself. For the fellas, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
I agree that this type of thing should have been addressed beforehand. You shouldn't do that afterwards. You kind of, you're almost sexualizing the pictures when you do that. Like, why are you even drawing attention to that in that manner?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not going to address it beforehand, then leave the pictures as is. Especially if a lot of these young women really enjoyed the way they looked in the picture, or they got dressed up real nice or done up real nice, and then they get the picture and they see a black bar across it. It's kind of like, how do I share this with people now? So
Yeah.
it's a little stupid. For me, I didn't show up for my yearbook photos, but I know for a lot of people it's really important. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, for me, I fall in line with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense. You know me. I ask questions. Why? What purpose? What's the purpose of
At
doing
that point, it might be too late.
No,
book-
but I mean, yeah, it's too late because the outcry is already there. But what was your purpose of doing that?
Mhm.
Like, what were you looking to gain? I'm just confused at the whole thing. Like, what sense did it make to go block off, somebody's, breast? And like Jay said, you're sexualizing these women when you're doing that. You're shining a light on body parts, and
Mm-hmm.
it just doesn't make sense. Like, why? What's the purpose of it?
But they said that they had a older administration is the reason why they did that. In addition to that, they said that they was going to X out the students in total. They were going to take them
So-
out of the yearbook,
let me-
but then they said that they felt that this was the most appropriate thing to do.
Is this
Let me say, I was raised by a father that always taught me to leave something to the imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And from the pictures that I've seen, I haven't seen anything too revealing. And my students will tell you I was pretty strict, right? I just think now the administration has brought more attention to the issue than it would have been if they would have just allowed the pictures to go out there. You know, I didn't see every picture in the yearbook, but those that I've seen, they weren't too revealing. They were typically in line with what your typical 17, 18-year-old would wear
Mm-hmm.
in school. And let me just say this. We have far bigger issues than what kids are wearing to school
Right.
to
Yes.
deal with right now.
Yes.
And I don't know what the performance level of this particular school is, but I'm sure every kid is not at 100%. So let's deal with those issues before we deal with how somebody shows up to school, because they're showing up to school on how they're dressed.
Yes,
now what
I agree
happened?
with
What
that.
happened to them putting the little thing over you?
What's that? Oh, yes.
What happened to that?
Yes.
Because I know when I took school pictures, I had the thing that
They
they
put
put on everybody.
Everybody was
The
in
cap
sync.
and gown,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
yeah.
Right?
Yes.
You can see your picture. You wearing a cap and gown.
right. So
Yes.
I'm just like, where was the change made to whereas people were or kids are allowed to wear regular clothing?
Well, it kind of throws me off too because she was only 15 years old. We don't take yearbook pictures at that age, so that kind of threw
Yeah,
me
so
off.
it was the freshmen, right? It was the freshmen and sophomores. They were covering up kids as young as that, the 15 and 16-year-olds in the picture.
Yes.
But once again, let's deal with the learning loss. We're in a pandemic. You know, let's deal with those issues that our families are experiencing,
Mhm.
as opposed to shining a light to a kid that shows up with some slight cleavage in their picture. And if there was that big of an issue, it should have been dealt with before they took the picture.
Right.
Because what it tells me is that kid probably walked around school all day like that without anybody saying anything. And now that one thing that's a memory,
Yes.
now you've tainted it with that black bar.
Yes.
That's unacceptable.
Yes, you made a big point right there. But I do have a question to ask you guys. Does age play a factor in it? Because you're talking about they're 15. All right, you at the age where you're growing up and you might start dating. But let's say that you graduate elementary school at 12 years old, and they did that for 12th grade. I mean,
Age-
12 years old.
Age doesn't matter. Everybody's body is different. Everybody's proportion different. If you're a 16-year-old girl and you're top heavy, your picture shouldn't be altered because of how your body is. That and you can't control that.
Mm-hmm.
So age, I don't feel should matter. You know, it's cleavage. As long as, there's not an areola or, nipple or something like that showing, then I don't see what there's a problem. And if that's showing, there's a photographer there's other people there should be somebody there to, come on, man, we take pictures, man. They fix you up. They pull your sleeves back, make sure you don't got the wrinkles. Like There's a bunch of people there to make sure that the picture comes out good.
Yes.
So it's just, for that to happen, I don't get it.
Does age play a factor?
No, I don't think it should. It's about the administration not setting expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, if I've had issues with kids and things that they've worn in school, I'm gonna pull them when they come through the door. So if you're really good at your job, you're greeting the kids as they come in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying hello. You're seeing what they're wearing. And sometimes some of these kids, this might be all they have in the closet. And so we got to meet our kids where they are.
Yes.
And then go from there. And so, you know what? If you have an issue with what they're wearing, then buy them something. But it should have never gotten to the point where it's in a yearbook and now we're doing all of these things. That's just shaming. It is.
And this is I'm sorry. This is where forward thinking doesn't come into place. When you're dealing with yearbooks, everybody has school shirts. If you're worried about that, why not have people put on their graduation shirt? Class of whatever with everybody's name on the back and let them take pictures. There's so many different ways they could have went about doing this. If a little cleavage was their concern,
Mm-hmm.
they dropped the ball.
Yeah.
And everything that they're getting right now is rightfully deserved. And hopefully they learn from it.
But you made a big point, and as far as I allowed you in the door that way, I allowed you in the school that way, I allowed you to sit next to your peers and in front of your teacher that way. Yet we going to change your image for a yearbook? I think that they were trying to do that for one, for the old administration. In addition to that, for whatever reputation they're trying to maintain.
Upkeep, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and you're right. But what we're finding, and I just did a paper on this, is that many dress code policies, as I stated earlier, are targeted at the young girls, what
Yes.
they can and cannot wear, what's too short, what's too revealing, the type of shoes they can wear, even. And when you go to the young men's policy, it's one or two bullets that's typically there. Oh yeah, don't wear your pants
Gotta wear
hanging down.
sleeves.
You can't wear the
Yeah.
hat in the school,
Yeah.
and that's really it. And so there's a movement right now on dress code policies for young ladies saying, hey, you know what? There's some gender bias in these policies, and we need to deal with these discriminatory policies.
Mm-hmm.
Are we finding that there's a lot of discrimination based on hairstyles in these policies as well?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we're seeing more and more instances where kids are in sports and they're being told to cut their hair because they have dreads or they have braids. You see some more grooming policies, right? And so those policies are telling our young men, you know what, your mustache must be tapered a certain way, right? You can't have a beard. Now we know, and I'm on a show with men. Right now, the beard is sexy. So our boys are listening. They understand.
Yes.
But they're telling them, they can't have the facial hair. And they have to groom themselves a certain way. And so these are things that are discriminatory and honestly discriminatory to our black males in particular.
I never understood why that was in place as far as a dress code, because that does, having a beard or being clean shaved doesn't make you a better employee or a better student.
See, the thing about it is they're worried about the image. They're worried about how they look
Of course.
to the masses.
Yes.
And there's a stigma behind dreads and braids, and we can't ignore it. You know what I'm saying? So
What's the stigma?
Come on, it's a hood look. These are troublemakers. It's just, and then on top of that, let's be honest, braids only look nice when they're freshly done. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yes.
I had a job. I was offered a job at the airport, and they told me I couldn't have a beard. They told me that my sideburns couldn't pass my ears.
Yes.
They told me I couldn't have any of that. I turned the job down. You're not going to tell me how I can look for this job that I only spend 6 to 8 hours at a day.
Yes. I once had a situation like that too, where they told me that I had to shave.
But it's only something that's done to minorities. You understand what I'm saying? It's not done to other ethnic groups. We're not the only ones who wear braids.
Well, not to go too far off a topic, but then you have to understand that when it comes to men and shaving, that we do get the razor bumps as well, where other races may not get that as well.
So let me ask you a question then. So if you're worried about razor bumps, and that means you got to have that same energy when it comes to people that deal with acne, right?
Meaning what?
People deal with acne.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
You understand what I'm saying, though, right? Because if you're worried about the image and, okay, he's shaved, so he might have razor bumps on his face, we don't like that, then that means the person that walks through the door with all the acne on their face, the same rules got to apply.
What rule would that be? What would you want a person to do?
Well,
if
you
they have
said
acne?
you said that if somebody shaves off their beard or cuts it, you got to worry about razor bumps, right? That's the image. You're standing in front.
No, what I mean by that is that as a minority, if we shave, we tend to get razor bumps. Where as far as our counterparts don't get razor bumps, so they are going to apply with the company policy much quicker than we do, where we don't want to get the razor bumps.
Okay,
that's what I'm getting at. But overall, we are in sync as far as they need to throw that old administration out because
times are changing.
Times are changing.
100%.
And you think that you did this for the children, but yet in all reality, it actually hurt them.
No, they did it for themselves. They were only thinking about themselves. And, older generations, they need to adjust with the times and the changes that's occurring in front of us.
But what I applaud are the kids speaking up for themselves.
Yes.
Their families speaking up for them, because this is a moment in time that they are standing up for their own rights. And it's something they'll remember, because as they go through life, there'll be other times and other things where they'll feel discriminated against, and they'll remember this moment in standing up, and they'll stand up again.
And to piggyback off that, situations like this is one of the very few situations where I feel like social media helps. Because without
Oh, yes.
social media and this information being able to spread as fast as it did, this might not ever come out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
we here in New York, and you're in there in Connecticut, and yet we still know about a situation that took place in Florida.
Yep. And we found out about it when everybody did.
Like you said, it's a good thing that the girls spoke about it. So now, I'm sure other schools will be hesitant to do that same thing. I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yes, other schools will be hesitant to do that. So now, going on to the next topic, we're going to get into some WNBA talks. But you being a former athlete, let us know about yourself.
So yeah. So I used to ball a little bit. I probably can't run up and down the court
More than a
five
little
times
bit, man.
now.
Stop it.
But once an athlete, we got this saying amongst my friends: once an athlete, we always an athlete. So we always think we're the best.
Yes.
Yeah. So I used to ball. High school, I made the senior all-star team for the state.
Nice.
And it was a little nice. I was at one of the schools that was the most feared in the state. We made it to the semis in the state championship. I still got a little feelings on that, but basketball, I love it. I love it.
Nice. Now, what were your numbers like?
What we talking about?
What were your numbers like?
So, I mean, my senior year, I averaged 14 points, about 7 assists.
Okay.
Probably the highlight of my senior year was we played against, and I don't know if you're familiar with Nikesha Sells, who went on to UConn and won a national championship, and she also, went on a WNBA, did great things. I remember after our game against her, she came up to me and said, "You got game," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I have arrived. I'm good." I mean, nothing else after that.
Nice. Now, did you ever play college?
Now in college, I chose social life
Okay.
over basketball. At that point, the WNBA wasn't in play, and so I didn't see why would I give up all that time to practice and do all that. My high school coach was mad at me. He cursed me out. I can say that now.
For what?
But I wanted the social life.
Why did he curse you out?
Because I didn't play ball in college. They wanted me to
Okay.
play, and I chose not to. I needed the social life at Howard. I attended Howard University, HBCU. Shout out to the Bison, and I had a great time.
Nice. Now, speaking about the WNBA, a coach was suspended after a player drags him for remarks about her weight. Now, Liz Cambridge is a center, and she plays for the Connecticut Sun right now. And she is a taller, bigger woman. And yet, they made remarks about her weight, saying that she was 300 pounds or close to 300 pounds. And they got suspended for that. What are your thoughts on that?
So, I remember when I read the article because it's it's the Connecticut Sun.
Yes.
Coach, and of course I live in Connecticut, and I immediately thought about Shaquille O'Neal. I remember when I was living in D.C., I went to see the Lakers play, and I remember Shaq coming on the court, thinking, "Damn, I'll never talk about David Robinson again. If he's ever afraid to go against Shaq, I get it. This is a big man." And so I thought about that when the comment came out against the WNBA player. Nobody talked about Shaq being over 300 pounds.
No.
Right? He was a big man. He was a beast in the paint, and everybody loved it. They feared him. They didn't care that, Shaq was coming in and dunking and doing whatever he does.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that she's 300 pounds, we love our body.
Yes.
And she can run up and down that court, and she could do what all other WNBA players can do.
She's skilled.
Listen, that's just hate. You just really want her to be on your team, and that's what you're mad about.
Mm-hmm. I watch WNBA. She's very skilled, at what she does. She's an all-star as well. I see, and this is the problem that I have with it. If it was a male coach to a male player, it wouldn't be an issue. If it was a female coach to a male player, that wouldn't be an issue. But now it's an issue because it's a male coach speaking to a female and going back to the same thing. It's more like body shame, and that's bad.
I see the whole situation differently. I don't see it as body shaming at all. You're a professional and you're an athlete. and there are requirements. You look into the season. James Harden was overweight. Everybody laughed.
Was he really?
He looked it.
Looked it.
Because
I saw
hold on.
a week later,
I saw his gut. I saw his gut. Listen. He looks big. I'm a football guy.
Yes.
Players get cut for being overweight.
Okay.
You have to maintain a certain kind of weight, especially depending on your position. Players come into training camp every year overweight, and they're hassled by the coaching staff to get at a proper weight. When you're overweight, that brings about injuries. That brings about a lot of different things. Now, when you're talking about basketball, especially being a center, if you're, I don't know the lady, but if you're approaching 300 pounds, you are a liability on our defense, on the defensive side of our ball, right?
Yes.
Pull an isolation, we pull you out, you're getting beat 9 out of 10 times by a faster person, right? So it's just, if we're playing a professional sport and you have professional obligations, because that's just what professional athletes have, I don't see a problem with it. If you're overweight, you got to drop the weight.
But she was on the opposing team. She wasn't on the coach's team.
Oh.
Yeah, she was on the opposing team, right? So I could go down that path with you, right?
Yes.
Remember when Shaq was overweight? Harden was a little. I give it to you, and I love the Nets, but right, he was a little overweight. But she was on the opposing team, and she came down the court, and he made the comment to her like, "You need to lose some weight." To her, because she's 300 pounds, like you're 300 pounds, and he gave her the business that way. So that's why it's a big deal around.
So
because she plays for Vegas.
So what about
and the Connecticut Sun coach?
I thought he was trying to get a call. I thought he was talking to the refs and said, "But she's 300 pounds. What do you want her to do?"
She was. He was.
Yeah, so I don't see it as body shaming. I thought it was a coach trying to get a call for his player.
He was whining.
Yeah, he was whining.
yeah.
What I didn't like. What I didn't like, two things. I didn't like the coach being suspended. That's ridiculous.
I didn't like that either.
And I didn't like the fact that she came out and was talking like, "Oh, don't try to body shame us," and don't try. It's like, come on, man. How soft are we getting in this generation? He didn't say, "Hey, you're 300 pounds. Stop doing this, that, and the third." He was saying, "Yo, what do you want my player to do? She's going to get somebody who's bigger than her." I just think he was trying to.
But when she came out, though, she said, "I'm 300 pounds and proud of it." Right?
Yeah, I love Liz Cambage.
I don't think she was. So I agree with you to a certain extent, right? I don't really think she was trying to get him like suspended or in trouble. I think that was her time to rebut him and say, "Listen, I'm 300 pounds and loving it. I'm getting up and down the court. I'm balling. I'm good." I don't think her intent was ever to suspend him. I think the fear of society right now, right? Yeah. That you immediately go to the body shaming. You immediately go to all of those things that the WNBA did a knee-jerk reaction to what she was saying. I think she was just saying, "I love my body, so what?" Right? I'm 300 pounds, so what?
But now you open up Pandora's box, because now if a similar situation like this occurs, the same results have to be brought down.
Yeah.
As far as men players or women players?
The women players, the coach getting suspended. You can't suspend one coach, and then if another coach does it, you don't suspend them, especially if it's a woman coach that does it. It's just you got to be consistent.
I don't think it'll happen again, though.
But if it does,
there was a penalty.
It will, because coaches in a locker room, they say a lot of things, right? Opposing coaches in the heat of battle, other players, they say things to you. So somebody's bound to say something. Like I said, in my opinion, I really don't think she was trying to get him suspended. I think that was her time to actually address what he said. In the league suspending him. Listen, I'm not going to be mad at the league for suspending them for it, right? Because as women, we endure so much.
Yes.
So I'll say kudos to the league, but I don't, in my heart, and I don't know the player, but I just feel like she probably that was her way to get back.
Yeah, it's tough to see anybody get fined or anybody get suspended for something without intent.
Would this be perceived differently if it was the coach from the Connecticut Sun that told their own player that they needed to lose weight? Would you see it differently, or would you still see it as body shaming?
Well, coaches say a lot of things, and you're a professional. It's your job. So when you talk about, are you in shape to do your job? If you're running up and down the court, you're doing your job. That's fine. However, if I'm lagging, if I'm like, "Coach, take me out," I'm raising my hand over and over. Yeah, I got to get myself fit.
But she was never doing that.
Paid to do a particular job, but that wasn't, that was not the case here.
Yes.
But for me, I know what coaches do in the locker room. So T, I don't know if you know, I was a basketball coach for a little bit too.
Okay.
So I, we might not always be the nicest people. Let me just put it that way.
But also in the WNBA, they have their first transgender player as well. And what are your thoughts on that? You being naturally born a woman, how do you feel having to compete with another woman, but that was born a man?
So let me just say, I believe in transgender rights,
Mm-hmm.
off the rip. So it's going to be interesting to hear what you all think about that.
Yes.
I remember, playing against boys growing up. And you know what? You lace them up and you play. And that's what you do. And some boys you're going to be better than, and some are naturally going to be gifted because they're a boy or a young man or a man, and they're going to be talented than you, and they are going to have an advantage over you. But I don't believe that if you're a transgender, I think you believe whether you're non-binary or you believe you're a woman. I think you should play.
I'm kind of conflicted because in one situation you have a person who was born a man. So this person is naturally stronger. This person is naturally faster, maybe even taller. This person is more probably skilled and athletic than a woman, than their counterparts. So that part I disagree with. But on the flip side, that means that they have no place in sports, which I think everybody does, though. Everybody has a
They do
place in
have a
sports.
place in sports
Where?
with men.
No, not if she's living as a woman.
She has the
But
anatomy of a man.
No, but you can't do that because
Yes, you can do that.
Listen,
you
she
can.
she now has the private.
Bro.
She now has the breast and the private.
Bro,
of a woman.
but she still has the
Let
anatomy
me ask you
of a
question.
man, bro.
What's locker room she going to? She gonna go to the locker room by
Because
herself?
she's identified as a woman. But what you got to understand
No,
is
she had surgery done.
right. But what I'm trying to
Okay.
tell what I'm trying to tell you is, you can have the surgery. I'm gonna respect who you want to be. But at the end of the day, when you're playing in sports, and we've had this conversation before, you had an MMA fighter, who was a female who fought a transgendered woman. This transgendered woman broke her face in 3 different places. Men should not be competing with women in certain sports. I'm okay with volleyball, sports like that. I'm okay with tennis, certain sports like that. But when you come to sports like football, because I see women trying to play football, men have a clear competitive edge. It's not fair. If we're on a track field, men should not be running with women. It shouldn't be. If you're a transgendered woman, I believe they should be running with males. So you have the anatomy of a man. You're gonna beat the women 8 out of 10 times. And it's not gonna be fair. See, everybody's gonna sit back and be okay with
So
it.
what if she's a less skilled? This transgender is a less skilled
She still has
athlete.
That one might be
advantage.
less skilled, but the next one might not be. You open up Pandora's box,
And that's what
and everything is cool until this child who got to go against, who's fighting a transgendered woman or wrestling a transgendered woman, and getting picked up and slammed on the ground the entire time. Like I feel like
How tall is she? Do you know?
I think she's 6'8".
we need to draw the line somewhere.
I think she's 6'8".
So I mean, I hear you. I think this conversation is a lot deeper.
Oh,
on how they
I'm
identify.
sorry. I'm sorry to cut you off. She's only 5'9".
If she was
5'9".
6'8", there would be a problem.
On
with
how
it.
they
If she was
identify
Liz Cambage
themselves.
size, I think there would be a
But
problem.
I think, and let's just be honest, the New York Liberty cut her.
Yes.
So there were 15 other people that they felt were better than
Yes.
the person, and so another team picked her up. So, and this is and
But
I hear
we
your
could.
point on
Mhm.
this one. I hear you opening up Pandora's box. We lace it up and we play just like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe that they have a place in the league.
Should they have their own
in-
league?
No, I don't.
No, I don't think it should be their own.
Because how
league,
would
right?
you feel? Like, I understand you said you grew up and you played with boys. That's street ball, but you're talking about organized basketball where now you're getting paid for your skill set. So now, if you playing, you let's say you make $20,000. Now you playing against a transgender, and this transgender is now getting paid as well. They might make $50,000 because they're more skilled and stronger and jump higher and everything more than you. At that point, you would see this is not fair.
I just think it's a competitive edge that's unfair. Listen,
Because, hold on. Competitive edge meaning what?
I'm about to get to it.
Okay.
We playing ball, setting picks. You playing ball. Listen, say Rudy Gobert decided he wanted to be trans and wanted to go into the WNBA. Man's going to the hall. Brittany Griner can't stop him. He's posting her up all day, and he's dunk. It's not fair. I wouldn't even watch it anymore.
He can't even post P.J. Tucker up. What does that
P.J.
mean?
Tucker's a stronger man. Like, he's stronger.
But I get what you're saying.
It's when it comes down to football, picture a chick being across me that's an offensive lineman. Man, bro, I'm done in you.
No, 100%. I don't think that they will ever allow that. My opinion. I don't think they will ever allow
but if
women to. But
if you start it, you're going down. You open up Pandora's box.
You think so?
100%.
All right, so let's say
women already playing football, bro.
So she's the first. So let's say that we have an entire team. I mean, a league in the WNBA where they have at least 5 transgenders. I don't think it'll ever get to a point where they will allow it in football. Because football is a contact sport. Granted,
basketball's not a contact sport.
We've all played basketball.
Go there at some point. So I'm gonna say I think it's gonna go there at some point with football, right?
Yeah, there's already women leagues, bro.
No, I understand that, but with men,
coaches there, in the league, who's doing really well, and so I think at some point you're gonna see it happen.
With men,
and
there's already a female who can kick football. She's a good ass field goal, bro.
I think
you know what I'm talking about, right? She's a good football.
All right, I understand that, but I'm sure at that point, then they probably would change the rules to men and women can't
do that. You can't change the rules, bro. Football's football, bro.
It will be flagged.
Football's football. You can't do that, bro.
I mean, I come from a state that we allow transgender sports in our high schools.
Oh, okay.
And where it's been highly competitive is on the track, right? So there has been some questions around is this fair or not, but it hasn't been to the degree or level that really kind of raises a lot of eyebrows for us in schools and education, and I think in society.
Can I interject?
Have to be acceptive
when you're done
of the transgender community and understand that they're there and respect them for who they are.
And I agree. And like I said, I respect them for who they are and how they want to live their lives. I just feel like with certain things, I just don't feel like certain things should be intertwined.
I got a question for all y'all, and I want everybody to answer this question.
Did you give your input on it? Can we get Jay's input on this?
What's up, Jay?
My input is, I don't know. Let people try. Let somebody live as who they want to be. If they're good enough, let them be. However, I don't disagree with anybody being opposed to it because I can understand why.
Mm-hmm. I have a question for all of you, and I want everybody to answer this question, and I'll answer it myself. Do you guys think that a transgender playing in the same sport, meaning a female league, and then a transgender this person is born a man now playing in the female league, is the same as a person in the same field taking steroids?
Yeah, it'd be the same. It's a competitive edge.
I don't think so because
you understand. You understand what I'm asking?
I know that they take means to suppress some of that masculinity, so I think it kind of works in the opposite of steroids. However, I still think they do have physical advantages.
And like I said, there is a way to intertwine, transgendered and regular women or males sports. There's a way to put them in there so that everybody can play together. But I just think that the sport matters. I think tennis is okay. I think volleyball is okay. I think golf is okay. I think certain sports, combat sports,
non-contact.
Yes, combat sports. No way. If my daughter wanted to wrestle.
But what about baseball? Because that's not a contact sport, but yet men throw faster.
No, I know.
Men hit harder.
They run faster. No, it's a competitive edge.
They can't. And then actually, they can't. They've done that, and men actually can't hit the volleyball, the underhand softball pitches the same way you would expect.
Oh, 100%. Yes.
So it's different.
So what's your response to The steroid question I
Y-
just asked.
Yeah, I think just because you're a man doesn't make you better. I think you got to look at the individual,
Mm-hmm.
and see, how they compete. But ultimately, like I said, I'm okay with it. So in this case of the WNBA, it's really a female who got the surgery up top. So she, got rid of her chest. So it still is a female ultimately, but she identifies as non-binary. But it's gonna come to a point where you will have someone who was born as a male who enters into the sport. And for me, let's lace them up.
That's that. See, that's that competitive edge out of you. Like, listen, I don't care if you a
You
male. I'm
you
gonna
you
still
you
take you to
you
the hole.
you want to know what? You want to know what? All of that is cool and all of that is okay.
Until they
Until
dunk on me.
no, no. Until somebody's kid loses a championship game or when the stakes are high. You see, when you're on a local level, when you're playing amongst high schools, all that shit is okay until you get to state, until you get to regional. Then that's when that shit becomes a problem. When somebody that lives across the state got a 6'8" male that's transgendered, just straight dropping 50 on y'all on the female basketball team.
Because
like you got Juwana man on the court just straight dropping 50, and it's
Yeah.
just it'll be a problem then. So before it can spring into something that's gonna be hard to control at that point, I just feel like it's something that should just be nipped. I don't even understand why. You know what I'm saying? Why there's a discussion about that. But I mean, I don't agree with it. That's just me. Like I said, for certain sports, I think it's okay. I would never want to see my daughter fighting a man in a combat sport.
no, never.
She's not stepping in that ring at all. We will take the defeat, and my daughter coming home. I don't agree with it.
It's tough. It's tough. Do you think that guys? Do you guys think that it would raise more money?
No,
No, it would make no.
there's more controversy.
Yeah,
To have people talk
No,
about it.
because now WNBA players are not getting paid a lot. Not getting paid a lot because there's not a lot of attraction.
But that's-
There's not a lot of viewers.
Well, that's the
So
corporation's fault.
if they have a situation like this where there is a controversial player that now people are going to watch the game, now it's going to have a larger audience and it may draw some money.
So the next question is, am I allowing you into this league because you identify as a woman, or am I allowing you into this league because I see some type of financial gain?
Well, and I would also say, if there was an issue, we would hear the public outcry from the players. You have not heard any public outcry from the players or the fans.
Because nothing
And
significant
so,
has happened yet. See, most people are gonna wait till a championship game comes around where somebody takes over a game or does something that most can't do before people start complaining. It's just how it goes. Everybody's gonna be okay with it because it's the wrong thing to speak out on. So I'm gonna be okay with it until I can't be okay with it.
yeah, I mean, I hear you. Like I said, I am more accepting, and welcome them into competitive sports.
Mhm.
I believe they have a place. In our schools, we have been very adaptive to our non-binary population.
So how does that work
And
inside the school?
so
Are
so
they
for us,
intertwined?
so for us, honestly, like if you were born what we identify as a male, right? But you believe you are a female in every shape of the way. You've changed your names, you've done those things. You're allowed to go into the female restroom,
Yes.
right? You go on a field trip, you're allowed to have a female as your roommate, if you're on that field trip overnight. So there are things within schools that we've adapted to accommodate our students, and all of them, and embrace them all. And so I do believe that, within society, this is just another layer that we are going to have to accept.
I
So
think
the what about when it comes to sports in your school? Have they intertwined transgendered with
Yeah.
male and female sports?
Yeah, I'll take it a step further. My school system last year, well, it was actually this year. It was like in September of this past school year.
okay.
With 45's policies, they tried to withhold funding from us
Really?
because we participate in a league that allows transgenders to participate and compete.
Yeah, that's not fair.
And so they were going to hold about $3 million in funds from our school system just because we allow transgenders to compete and we're part of the state system. And of course, a few of us in the school districts that were impacted by this, we were like, no, we're going to stand up against this. This is wrong. And so, of course, finally 45 backed down and we received our funds. But, so it's real for us.
Can I
This
can I ask you,
isn't.
can I ask you another question?
Mhm.
When you're done, though, I'm sorry.
Go
Um, with the transgendered, I know you said that if they've gotten certain things done, that it's okay. Um, what about the people who haven't gotten anything done? Because I don't know if most kids are allowed to get procedures done, but as far as like cross dressing, if somebody didn't consider themselves trans but just dressed as a woman, does your school allow a cross dresser, somebody who cross dresses, to go and play? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All of that is allowed. We don't get into what changes they've done to their body or not. They're more than allowed to go into the female restroom. They're allowed to compete in competitive sports. We treat them, how they identify themselves.
Yeah, you
So
you
it's
would
it's
never
a
know
it's a
their
change of
body parts.
times.
What do you mean?
It's definitely
You're not going to examine them, so you would never
No,
know.
no, but I'm just saying, when you're
right.
dealing with somebody who cross dresses from somebody who lives their life as a
Yes.
woman, it's just two different things.
Yes,
The
it
cross
is.
dresser can be a man today and a woman 6 other days out the week. Whereas,
But in addition to that, you brought up something, and I think that it's not an issue in the WNBA. There hasn't been an outcry. There hasn't been a player who has spoken out about it or a fan who has spoken out about it because a lot of the WNBA are more open as far as their sexuality. So they're going to be accepting of a transgender where
I don't agree with
NBA
that.
why not?
I don't agree with that.
NBA players don't ever come out. When Jason Collins came out, he came out when he retired, and he still got ridiculed when he retired. You talking about Diana Taurasi, who's openly gay, Sue Bird, who's openly gay. You have these players who are openly gay, so it's more acceptable in
But
their
being gay
in
has
their
nothing to
culture,
being,
in their locker room, so they're going to accept that.
But being gay has nothing to do with being trans.
But they don't have an issue with it.
Right? They don't have an issue with it now because it hasn't impacted them. Everybody, what
But
I'm,
no-
what I'm trying to say is people afford things until it directly affects them.
I-
So Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird might be okay with a transgendered male coming into the league until you have a transgendered male with the skills of LeBron James who wins 10 straight championships. Then it's going to be a problem because now you have a man and we can't stop this person. So everything's cool, like just with the MMA thing. That transgender fighting that woman, it was all cool until that woman's face was broken in 3 different places. Now it became a problem now. Now we don't want to fight this woman anymore because of what she did to that person.
Do you understand LBGTQ community?
That has nothing to do with sports.
Hear me out. Do you understand the LBGTQ community? That's a community. So everything you're saying, they already know that that's a possibility, but they accepting it. They already know that's a possibility.
Who already knows it's a possibility?
The WNBA female players, the straight players, and also the lesbian players.
Because
they know that that's a possibility that it can happen.
Because you know something's a possibility doesn't mean that you're gonna have a problem with it right away. So when you look at the optics of it, this transgendered person is 5'9".
Okay.
So they're sitting back and they're like, all right, we could stop this person. And it's all cool until, like I said, a LeBron James 6'8" transgender comes into the court and you can't stop them because they're just physically imposing.
I get exactly what you're saying, but I don't think that there will ever be a public outcry, especially from the players, because they'll look at it like this. You dislike them, or you don't want them.
It is public outcry, though. It's on the track field.
You don't want them a part. You don't want them a part of our league because they are transgender. In the future, you're going to say you don't want me a part of your league. this league because I'm lesbian.
No, how?
Yes.
How? How do you equate somebody that was
Because
born? No,
it's
but
a
no.
sexuality.
It's
That's
not
why.
about sexuality. It's not about sexuality for me. And let me make that very clear. It has zero to do with sexuality. It has to do with anatomy, not sexuality.
Okay.
Nothing about I don't care about anybody's sexuality. What you do is what you do. I don't care. It doesn't affect me at all. It's anatomy. Like I said, the people who race that transgender in the track field has a problem with it now because they lost a big track race. The MMA fighter, they have a problem with it. Nobody had a problem with it.
So should they allow steroids?
No. It's a competitive edge. I don't believe anybody should have a competitive edge. I feel as if
No. What I'm saying is that if they allow transgender into the WNBA allows transgenders, now should the woman be able to take steroids?
No.
To compete?
No.
Okay.
No. I think if you're a man and you want to play sports, but you identify as a woman, and you're going to play sports, I think you got to go into the NBA.
What are your thoughts, Jay?
I kind of agree with Conrad. We won't know the truth until there's a transgender athlete that comes in and dominates.
Would you be scared of that? Until then. Like, would you have a different perspective being an athlete playing against somebody that's how tall are you?
5'7".
So if you played somebody that's 5'3", a point guard, and that's a man, and you just tearing him or her up. But then you have somebody who is 6'8". Would your perspective be a little different?
So I always think about, when you talk about basketball, it's a team sport. So it's not individual. I think you'll compete and do your best, and you game plan for it. Like I said, do I say that there may be a competitive edge? Yeah, I do. Right. So I'm not going to deny that doesn't exist. But I also want to respect the person's rights.
100%. And you said that you average 14 and 7. Now,
Yes.
What if this person, every single time y'all play, guarded you? Would you feel a little different? And to that point where you only getting maybe 2 because they fouled you, and you got that at the free throw line?
Listen, it ain't gonna happen. But but no, to your point. I mean, I hear it. I'm just evolved in where I am today, in dealing with so many instances with kids who really see themselves as something that they weren't born as, what we claim to be male and female. And so I just respect their rights, and will allow them. I don't want to deny them from playing in competitive sports.
Yes, and I think allowing them to play brings unity. Allowing them to play brings
That's
unity.
a great point.
And nobody, because they already feel, like I said, you can't create an entire league just for transgenders.
I would never suggest that.
No, I'm not saying you suggest that. I'm just talking about in general. You can't create an entire league just for transgenders, because now, who's to say that transgenders even play sports? You'll probably have a league with only 6 teams. That would never make money. That would never go anywhere. So you have to allow them. And then it's a situation where they can't just sit on the sideline if they are that good. They have to be able to play with the males or with the females. And going back to what you said, they play with what they identify as. They play with what they identify as. You have anything to say?
No, I've been very vocal with my stance on it. And it's not going to change. And like I said, it has nothing to do with a person's rights. I feel like they should be able to, live the life they want to live, go have whatever job they want to have, and not be told they can't have a job. I just feel like certain sports should be left to certain genders.
We're gonna backtrack, and we're gonna go back because I have sons, Keisha has sons, but you two guys have daughters. So we're gonna backtrack, and we're gonna go step by step as far as the topics that we discuss. Now, your daughter, they cover up her in her yearbook. She's 15 years old. You said she's going to be 14. Your daughter as well. How would you guys feel about that?
I have a problem with it.
You have a problem with it?
Yeah.
You have a problem with it as well? Okay. In addition to that, what if the coach said that your daughter was pushing 300 pounds or overweight? How would you guys feel about that, being fathers and having daughters?
It's how to drop the weight. You have a professional obligation. You have to drop the weight. If you want a professional career, you have to do that. You have to run a strict diet. It's just I played sports before.
But that's different than saying she couldn't perform her duties. She was able to get up and down.
Right,
It's just that you couldn't get around her or stop her because she's so big.
Right, but I mean, like I said, if the coach on her team don't have a problem with it, then cool. Yeah. It is what it is. If she's not a liability for the team, then it is what it is. I don't have a problem with it. But I'm just saying, to have a successful career, 300 pounds running up and down a court, jumping up and down, it's a lot of wear and tear on the knees and the ankles. Yes. You're more prone to injuries. Yes. So if you want a long career, you'd want to drop the weight. You don't put it in a way to put somebody down. You put it in a way to help somebody.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? It's not the message you're delivering, it's how you deliver the message. You know what I'm saying? Which is the most important part.
Yes.
So I would, if she needs to lose weight, then I would tell her to lose weight. The same thing I would tell my son if he played ball. Bro, you too big to be a running back. You got to lose weight.
What's your response, Jay?
I mean, if what happened to Liz Cambage happened to my daughter, I would tell her to go out there and dominate. Like,
yeah,
I wouldn't. If she wanted to leave a response like she did, that's fine.
As long as she could perform her duties on the court.
Like, he's just saying what he's saying because you're out there dominating his team. Like, I don't see why. I don't know.
And just like Keisha said, nobody ever mentioned Shaq weight.
Of course they did when they talk about officiating him. Look how big he is.
Yeah.
It's hard.
We talk about Shaq's weight his whole career.
Yeah,
they talk about his weight post-career.
Yeah.
They talk about Shaq being able to survive.
Well,
if you're somebody who's physically dominant,
but I'm talking about as far as him being able to play and adapt in today's game.
If you're somebody who's physically dominant, that's all they're going to talk about all the time. LeBron James doesn't get calls because it looks like he's not getting hit, but he is. So it's like you got an advantage. That's your size. So people are going to talk about it. Personally, I wouldn't be. I feel it's a little sensitive, but I understand she has a voice and she wants to speak out about what she heard. So,
also the last thing, how would you guys feel if your daughter was playing against a transgender?
Depends on the sport.
Depends on the sport.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, they playing volleyball, tennis. Go kick ass. You're not stepping in the ring to fight a male.
Hockey?
No.
Okay. What about you, Jay?
Yeah, it depends on the sport.
Okay. So we're going to throw it back to you, Keish. We're going to put you on the spot. Now, in every episode, when we finish, we leave with one last message. So we're going to ask that you close us out with a message today in regards to today's topics.
Listen, I'm honored. I want to say that again, to be here with all of you. Feel like it's a blessing. What I would say as we move forward, listen, respect women. Respect our young ladies. You can't tell us what to wear, what we should have on, how our hair should look. Listen, we come in all sizes, shapes, colors, and just respect us for what we bring. You know, you have something to say to us, talk to us one-on-one, but don't do this whole public scene for everyone to see, and now you're body shaming us. If you feel like I'm doing something wrong, let's have a conversation, but let's make it equal for everyone. You know, not just target females, but also for males as well.
Nice. And with that being said, sweet life.
Sweet
we
life.
out.